The first heart attack I treated that morning didn't begin in the hospital. It began in a kitchen. A man in his late 60s stood by the sink, doing something he had done every day for years. Nothing dramatic, nothing extreme, just a normal, quiet morning routine. The kind of routine millions of people repeat without thinking. He wasn't in pain. He wasn't short of breath. He didn't feel like anything was wrong. But inside his body, something had already started to shift. His blood pressure was rising, not gradually, but sharply. His blood vessels, which had become slightly stiffer with age, were struggling to adjust. The inner lining of those vessels, already sensitive, was under sudden stress. His heart, which had been resting overnight, was being forced into a rapid demand, wasn't fully prepared for. And here's the part that changed everything. He had no idea it was happening. By the time he reached the hospital later that day, the damage wasn't caused by something he did in that moment. It was caused by something he had been doing every single morning, quietly, repeatedly, without realizing the impact. Now, here's what makes this even more important for you. What happened inside his body doesn't start with a heart attack. It starts much earlier. It starts with a pattern. A daily trigger that slowly teaches the heart and blood vessels to respond in the wrong way until one day they can't compensate anymore. And the most concerning part is this. The majority of people over 50 are doing this exact same thing every morning, believing it's harmless or even healthy. So the question is not whether this happens. The real question is, could this already be happening inside your body right now? Because what I'm about to explain isn't about rare conditions or extreme lifestyles. This is about a simple, common morning behavior and the silent chain reaction it can trigger inside the heart, the blood vessels, and even the brain. And once you see how it works, you'll understand why cardiologists are becoming increasingly concerned about it. Now, let's take a step back for a moment and understand something very important about your body in the morning. When you wake up, your body is not in a neutral state. It is in a transition phase. During sleep, your heart rate slows down, your blood pressure drops, your blood vessels relax, your nervous system shifts into a recovery mode. This is when your body repairs blood vessels, balances hormones, and restores energy. But the moment you wake up, everything begins to change. Your body releases a surge of stress hormones, especially cortisol and adrenaline. This is natural. It's part of your internal clock. It helps you wake up, become alert, and prepare for the day. But here's where things become very interesting. This natural hormone surge already causes your blood pressure to rise. Your heart begins to beat faster. Your blood vessels tighten slightly. Your blood becomes a bit thicker and more prone to clotting in the early morning hours. This is actually one of the reasons why heart attacks and strokes are more common in the morning. Your cardiovascular system is already under more strain during this time. Now, imagine adding the wrong habit on top of that. That's where the real problem begins. And this is where many people unknowingly make a serious mistake. One of the most common things people do within the first 5-10 minutes of waking up is they immediately stimulate their system in a way that amplifies this natural stress response. Sometimes it's reaching for caffeine before the body has fully stabilized. Sometimes it's jumping out of bed too quickly. Sometimes it's checking stressful messages, emails, or news that instantly activates the brain. And sometimes it's a combination of all of these. Now, on the surface, these things seem completely normal. But what happens next inside the body is even more surprising. When you introduce strong stimulation, especially caffeine or stress, during this early window, you're not just waking up your body, you're overloading a system that is already in a sensitive state. Your blood pressure doesn't just rise, it spikes. Your heart doesn't just speed up, it works harder than necessary. Your blood vessels don't just adjust, they tighten more aggressively. And over time, this repeated pattern begins to change how your cardiovascular system behaves. Think of it like bending a wire over and over again. At first it holds, then it weakens. and eventually it reaches a point where it can no longer tolerate the stress. Now, this is the part most people have never heard before. When this morning spike happens repeatedly over months or years, it can slowly damage the inner lining of your blood vessels. This lining is extremely important. It controls how your blood flows, how your vessels expand, and how your body prevents clots. But under repeated stress, this lining becomes less flexible, more inflamed, and more vulnerable. And once that happens, the risk doesn't just stay in the heart, it extends to the brain. It affects circulation, it affects oxygen delivery, it affects how efficiently your entire body functions. Now, you might be thinking, I've been doing this for years and I feel fine. And that's exactly what makes this so dangerous, because this is not a loud problem, it's a silent one. The body compensates until it can't. There are often no clear warning signs in the early stages, no pain, no obvious symptoms, just subtle changes that most people ignore. Maybe a slight increase in blood pressure over time, maybe occasional dizziness when standing up, maybe a feeling of fatigue that seems unrelated. But inside, the system is slowly becoming less resilient. Now, here's where things become even more important. As we age, our blood vessels naturally lose some of their elasticity. This means they don't expand as easily under pressure. So when these morning spikes occur, the impact is stronger, the stress on the vessel walls is greater, and the ability to recover is reduced. That's why this issue becomes significantly more important after the age of 45, and even more critical after 60. Now, let's talk about what you can do differently, not in a complicated way, not with extreme changes, but with simple intentional adjustments that support your body instead of working against it. The first thing to understand is that your body needs a transition period in the morning. Instead of shocking your system awake, you want to guide it. When you wake up, give your body a few minutes before doing anything stimulating. Sit up slowly, let your breathing settle, allow your circulation to adjust. This small pause can make a significant difference in how your blood pressure responds. Next, hydration becomes very important. After several hours of sleep, your body is naturally slightly dehydrated. This makes your blood thicker and your circulation less efficient. Drinking a glass of water within the first 10-15 minutes can help support smoother blood flow and reduce strain on the heart. Now here's another key point that many people overlook: delay caffeine slightly. This doesn't mean you have to give it up. It simply means allowing your natural hormone rhythm to stabilize first. Waiting even 30 to 60 minutes before your first cup can reduce unnecessary spikes in blood pressure and heart rate. And this is where many people notice a surprising difference in how they feel throughout the day. More stable energy, less jitteriness, better focus. Now let's talk about movement. Sudden, intense activity right after waking up can also stress the cardiovascular system. Instead, gentle movement is far more beneficial. Stretching, light walking, simple mobility exercises. These help your blood vessels gradually expand and improve circulation without overwhelming the heart. And here's where things become very interesting again. Your morning environment matters more than most people realize. If the first thing your brain experiences is stress, news notifications, pressure, it sends signals throughout your body that increase tension, raise blood pressure, and prepare you for a threat that doesn't actually exist. But if your morning begins with calmness, light, and controlled breathing, your body responds completely differently. It enters the day in a balanced state rather than a reactive one. Now, this doesn't require a complete lifestyle overhaul. It requires awareness, small, consistent shifts that align with how your body is designed to function. Because the truth is, your heart is incredibly resilient. Your blood vessels are capable of adapting. Your body is constantly trying to protect you, but it needs the right conditions to do that effectively. And the morning is one of the most powerful opportunities to support that process. So instead of unknowingly placing stress on your system, you can begin each day in a way that strengthens it. protects it, and supports long-term health because what you do in those first moments after waking up doesn't just affect your morning, it shapes how your body performs, recovers, and ages over time. And once you understand that, you begin to approach your day differently, more intentionally, more carefully, and ultimately, more wisely, because your heart is working for you every second. The question is, are your daily habits working for it or against it?